Mark Panero. Should I click on that?
Yes. What did it say? Can you have the password in?
The meeting is being,
This says Vic
Maybe.
Rowen, 1919 to 213. Do you all have this on your
Right there.
screen?
Okay, yes, yeah, I can hear.
Yeah,
Okay, I just thought maybe I pushed the wrong button.
got it?
Yes.
Yeah, so it just went live on YouTube, so this is showing up.
Okay,
and then
great.
Feel free to
I'll
talk
click on my
still,
name.
but
Yeah.
this will be
Yeah,
up
I'm
for the
gonna
next
read it.
15 minutes.
Skip, I'll read this to you.
Choose.
Okay, I just thought
Yep.
maybe I'd pushed.
and we will get background conversation as people come on, because they don't know they're on yet, because they can't see it yet.
So what do I do?
This is the last,
So this is a tribute to Vic Rowen. And it just says that he was SF State head football coach when you were there. 5 Far Western Conference titles, SF State Athletics Hall of Fame. And I can't see the rest of it, but oh, look at that little baby.
Someone has a little
Oh.
baby.
what's that right there?
It says mute.
You don't want me to,
Hit that.
no.
So, hey, Mark Panero, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, this is Don McPhail. You may want to look to your lower left corner.
I'm gonna see if I can get a table.
Lower left corner.
Okay.
You'll see a video icon.
Yes.
It has a line through it. If you click on it,
Okay.
probably open you up and you can see the pictures and we can see you.
Zoom.
Okay, I'm gonna roll you over here so you can see.
It doesn't always work, but there you are.
Hey, there I am.
Hey, good to see you.
The old right tackle. Oh, well, this is great. This is great.
We're glad you can join us. Is Kathy joining you?
You mean Chris?
Chris, I'm sorry.
She's in the other room and she says she's not fixed up enough.
Okay. Well, she obviously hasn't seen us. We're not fixed up at all.
That's for sure. That's for sure. We're all different from what we remember what we look like, don't it? I had a football reunion for my high school back in '67,
Which one is that?
called Kingsburg High School,
Sure.
south of Fresno. So great athletes came out of there. Jimmy Johnson, Rayford Johnson, Monty Clark. But anyway,
Yeah.
in '67, we had was the first time we won the championship in 10 years down there. So I just, decided to, in 50 years later, I said, well, why don't we all get together? And we ended up having about 20 guys off of a team of 28. And none of us looked the same. I couldn't figure that out.
Yeah. You hadn't had enough to drink yet.
Oh, yeah, most of us had to quit drinking for some reason. So
Yeah, well, same.
Did Monty Clark and Jimmy Johnson make it?
no, Marty Clark has passed away. Jimmy
Okay.
Johnson, no, but they were just inducted, and along with Rayford did go
Yes.
to Kingsburg. Established a athletic Hall of Fame 2 years ago. So
Okay.
course.
Okay.
they were one of the first inductees. So
Nice. Very nice.
it was
Wow.
good. Kingsburg was a great little town to grow up in. A little bit different than San Francisco State when I showed up there.
Oh, good.
Not too far from Hanford, right?
Right. I had a lot of relatives that lived in Hanford. We'd go over there and have Chinese food and go to Superior Dairy for a milkshake. And then problem with Hanford, their water was so full of sulfur,
Yeah.
you couldn't drink it back in when I was a kid.
I used to spend summers there.
Oh, were you working on a farm or doing something like?
I had an aunt down there and she worked at a cattle yard and used to go over and visit and play around there.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a good community.
yeah, a lot different than the Bay Area, weather-wise and cultural-wise. So
Yeah, a lot of good athletes came out of the valley.
sure. Oh yeah.
I guess you could consider, Alan,
Okay.
you were out of the valley, right?
Yeah,
Abraham,
yes,
that's
sir.
considered the valley.
Yeah, Turlock.
And Dennis Dow and a lot of great athletes.
Barry Pickens and Jim Crum.
Yeah.
Who else? Oh, gosh.
Tony Volt.
We have a lot.
Janis Joplin.
Janice Joplin, yeah. She
Are those
played
names?
left tackle, right? No.
Nose
She's
This
from
is
tackle.
the
football, by the way.
Valley?
She's
This
more
is a
like a nose
football.
tackle. Hmm.
Don, how do I get the, does everybody see the same thing here where the pictures are on the right?
Yes, we see it. We see it, Pat.
Oh, okay. I'll be fine.
There'll be a lot more.
Got a voice here from Vegas says,
Morning,
can you
everybody.
hear me?
Is that Larry Atencio?
That name?
This is
Larry
Larry
Atencio.
Drummond in Las
Oh, Larry
Vegas.
Larry
Drummond.
Drummond.
Larry Drummond, the voice
Put
of
your
the Gators.
face on.
The voice of the
I don't
Gators.
know. I'm working on it.
Go to your lower
Larry
left.
Drummond.
Larry, go to your lower left. You have an icon that looks like
Yeah,
a camera. Click on that. And
I did.
We may
I
get,
did. No result, looks like.
well, I yield to Brandon or David to, if they have any other suggestion.
Does he have a camera?
Yeah, well, I'm on an iPad, so my camera should function. I got,
John Melvin.
I'll tell you who this is in a minute.
you guys will get along without my mugshot if I can't fix it up here.
Okay, Tom Melvin just came on.
Tom Belvin.
Tom, are you in Kansas City now?
Yeah, we are. We're in the middle of mini camps right now.
Oh, wow. I remember 2-a-days. You must be having fun.
A what? 2-a-days?
2-a-days, don't you guys do that?
Oh, that's history. Every player we've had now has not had a 2-a-day. So we're not alive when that was allowed.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's different now. So,
Geez, you're going to tell me the military doesn't have boot camp anymore.
yeah, that's right. They get
That's coming, Don.
so,
Showing our age.
yeah, definitely. I have to watch.
Name sounds familiar. Jim
Bonds that I
Schmitz,
use.
that's who
They
that
don't know
is.
any movies anymore.
Wow. You probably can't swear at him either.
Well, that's, yeah, that comes from the head man. He's kind of a little bit, treat him like a dog.
John, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do they still use the 7-man sled?
You know what? That's a great question. When the answer to that is yes. In training camp, coach starts every practice with us hitting that sled. But I go to the scouting combine every year, and when I interview tight ends, the first question I ask them is, "Have you ever hit a Crowther?" And 99% of them don't even know what a Crowther sled is.
No kidding. No kidding. Oh, those sleds. I mean, every place I ever played, high school, junior college, and
This will fall. You can't touch
San
it.
Francisco State. I mean,
Yeah, I'm
I
positive.
can't remember. I don't think San Francisco State had a 7-man sled back then.
Oh, we did
We
when I,
had a couple of them.
yeah.
I remember running under the, they had something made out of like iron poles or something. And you learn how to run in a squat.
All
And if
here.
you
Hang on. I'll
sit
show
up too
you.
high, you hit your head right in your noggin with one of those iron poles.
One of the big
Guys,
one of the
Sarah? Know him? Handsome. They're all handsome.
I see
And then
Denise,
there's Walter.
Denise Hall. Hello. I see Eli and Norm Eliason.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Nice to see you guys.
You too.
Oh, Denise Hall.
Paul.
Where is Denise now?
I'm still in San Francisco. I don't live too far from state.
Okay. Last time I heard you were down at Stanford. Remember that?
Yes, I left there in 03.
Oh, 03. Okay. Yeah, good to see you, Denise.
Don't touch the
Good.
computer.
You look
That's
well.
That's Alan Abraham talking to you, Denise.
Yes, sir.
And who else is joining? We're going to have more people than the ability to see each
John
other.
Melvin. Does that name ring a bell? John Melvin. Denise Hall. She lives in San Francisco. Do you know that name? And then what are you pointing at?
Yeah, that's Angela Crudo's sister talking to him that
Hi.
you.
Yes. So
on the screen.
yeah.
Dennis,
I want to let you all know he's very engaged, although he may not seem to be, but this is more attention than he's paid to anything in a couple of months. He's seeing you guys and he is engaged. So thank you so much for inviting us.
well, we're honored that Angela is with us. We really are.
Hey,
They're very honored that you're here.
I'll tell
Your
you,
brother was one hell of a football player.
Oh, thank you. So he's saying you were one hell of a football player. He's got a little smile.
I'll tell you a name that Angela remembered. Tim Tierney.
Tim Tierney was my brother's dear friend. He's talking about Tim Tierney. Yeah. Basketball. Well, Tim was a coach too. They were very good friends. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It was at UC Davis for many years.
Hayward State.
Angelo coached with Gil, right?
Yes.
We did at Reardon High School.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Gil, I think, did you come up to the house to visit
Yeah,
Angelo?
we sure
I
did.
thought so.
Myself and Mike Moriarty.
I remember that. I felt so badly. I didn't have any alcohol to serve you guys. And
Well, you did great. You did great. We didn't need any. What you might remember is I brought a program from state and we were looking at it. Okay. And then in the back of it, there was an advertisement. Tim Tierney was working for a tire company. So he had a bigger picture in there and Angelo saw it right away and said, Tim. He saw it right away.
Yes. You know what, Gil? I still have that photograph on my piano. Although Skip can't come up there anymore. But there he is, Skip.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah. He has that, Anne, who you know, my brother's long-term partner, had a big blanket made with that photo on it. And it's hanging in his room here.
Well, great.
Yeah.
Great.
Skip is really animated right now. May not seem to you guys, but he is. So really appreciate it.
Well, Don Bremley would tell stories at our board meetings about during two-a-days when Bremley and Skip would bug out at noon when everybody else was exhausted and lying down to rest. They would go out and surf. And they'd come back.
That sounds like them. Yes.
Yeah. Great shape.
Yes. Yeah. I still have 2 of my brother's surfboards. He had quite a collection. Skip.
He has a big collection, doesn't he?
He had almost 200 longboards.
Yes.
Wow. When he moved into this facility, his children, I think, sold most of them, but I got 2. So I have 2 at my house.
Well, later on, you're going to hear from David Fearberg, who did not play football, but who is helping us to run this program. You'll hear from him, and his biggest sport wasn't football. It is because he's still young, surfing and biking. So he'll tie right into those.
Oh, that'll be great. Yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah.
Can I tell an Angelo swimming story?
Yeah.
I had to take a half unit class to graduate. So in the summer I took life saving and along with Angelo, and it was at the diving pool at State. And the final exam was you had to go to the bottom of the pool and bring up the body and do CPR, which is not a problem because Angelo is a surfer, right? You know that Angelo cannot swim a stroke. He did not swim.
No.
See? What he says, when he fell off, if you fall off the board and try to swim in, you'll get exhausted and drown. What you do is you turn on your back and you float in with the board.
Is that right?
Neither one of us could get the other guy off the bottom of the pool.
That's Walt.
But we're gonna see him.
Walt Solkowski.
That's a good story.
No, that's really something. See?
I thought I had it made.
Wow.
Oh.
It's Norm Ellison, or I don't know how to say that. Ellison, Dennis Dow, Don McPhail, Gil Haskell, and Will Trudeau. Beauty Trudeau. You know these guys. How about Charles Peters?
Oh, listen there.
Charlie Peters. There's Larry Dito. Hey, Larry.
How you doing?
Good. Dennis, how are things in Sacramento?
Nice and warm.
Yeah. Nothing new there.
Yeah.
Larry Dito? A Dito? We have relatives that are Ditos.
Who's your relative?
Well, let's see. Hang on, Skip. On my dad's side, we're Crudos from Verbicaro.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's right.
Your family from? Yeah.
Yeah, my father is from Verbicaro. My grandmother, and we had Crudo. One of my aunts married Frank Crudo, who
Yes.
And their son was a dentist. And
Yes.
yeah.
So we are related. We are a distant relation because I've done a lot of genealogy from the Crudos in Verbicaro, and I've got about 4 Dito DNA matches. So we're probably related there.
Yeah, in fact, my sister visited Verbicaro several years ago, and she said that there's a Via Dito and a Piazza Dito there.
Oh, yes. And what's your sister's name?
Her sister is Jane, Jayne.
And she has a married name?
Donahue.
Okay.
Well, actually,
married an Irishman.
yeah. Well, that didn't last. It only lasted about 12 years. You know, what do you expect?
That's like me. I know. See, I get it. Now here's a new, Jimmy Schmitz. He's been on. Alan Abraham, he knows you. You know him?
I feel like you.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
are you on
Mark
YouTube right
Hollis.
No.
Yes.
Ring a bell? He's smiling. Does that ring a bell?
Mark Hollis is one of the young guys.
Oh, he's a baby. He's a young guy.
Why don't you ask them, can you hear me?
Hey, wait a minute. Where's my picture?
Yeah, I thought I was one of the young guys. Can you hear me? I'm Charlie Peters.
Hey, Charlie.
Hey, Charlie.
Okay.
Charlie Peters up here.
Thank you.
As you can tell, we're not into our organized program yet, and this is probably a whole lot more fun.
Thanks a lot, Lena.
than the organized program. Verdone Andrew, is that's on the screen? Can you say hi and tell us your background?
Yeah, Andy Verdone, class of 82, played 79, 80, 81, linebacker, played with Garrity, Chuck Work.
Man, Andy, I got your name backwards. I apologize. You're a young guy too then.
If 61 is young, I can run with that.
Well, relatively speaking,
61's young. Yeah, 61 is young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of us can barely remember 61.
Andy, you look good.
Is that Joe? Joe, yeah. Joe.
Denise, you're in that young group too.
Joe, you look great too, man. It's
Thank
good
you.
to see you.
I'm combing my hair off a towel these days. You look good. You got a full head of hair.
I'm Italian, Joe. I'm Italian. You know,
Yeah,
it's,
that's right.
it's like a Verducci hairstyle. You know.
Us Irish tend to fall out after a while. I don't know.
Hey, I drove by the school. What happened to the Verducci Hall? Where's that hall? I used to
They
live in
blew
that
it up.
place. Man,
It had earthquake damage in '89, so they had to take it down.
man. So I moved back down to Huntington, Joe. So I'm surfing and doing that thing. You know?
Well, I'm still here in the city. We're still here.
Yeah. Well, cool. Looking forward to this. Haven't been in contact with many over the years, except for Tom Hall.
I got it, Chip.
So Joe and Jim, are you guys ready to kick us off?
Yeah, I think we can start the program here at 10:35. So I think we're ready to go. Jim, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. So, good morning. I'm Jim Schmitz. I played ball at State from '63 to '67, and I'm co-chair of the Gator Gridiron Club along with Joe Garrity. And so we'd like to welcome you all to this Zoom event, and let's begin.
I'm Joe Garrity, and I played in the late '70s with Andy and Chuck Work. And today we're proud to welcome everyone to launch our official tribute to Coach Rowen, who's been a coach, a mentor, and educator for many people here at State. And if you don't mind, we would ask you to mute your device until the discussion segment is at its end. And we'll let you know when that's when you come back on. So Jim, I think you're up.
It says here that we're going to begin in 5 minutes, but I think we can begin right now.
Yeah. So we're partnering with the athletic department to create a full endowment to make it a permanent scholarship. As you well know, we had an event many years ago, about 20 years ago, Don, and everybody was there at the Sheraton Palace for Coach when he was still living. So that was a good event. So okay, then let's see. Do we need to anything else, Don? We're going to kick off. We're going to hear from our honorary chairs, I think, in the next 40 minutes. Jim,
Right.
you have an announcement to make there?
All right. For the next 40 minutes, we'll be hearing from our great coaches and co-chair for the Vic Rowen Scholarship Program. Is Stephanie Shreve Hawkins going to participate? I guess not. So anyway, Don McPhail, one of my teammates from 1965, will kick off the next phase of this program.
So let's first hear from our honorary chairs, Super Bowl coach winners and former Gator coaches, and Andy Reid of the Kansas City Chiefs, and Mike Holgren from Sacred Heart and SF State and Lincoln grad, Mike Holgren. So let's hear from them. Brandon has a play video from both Coach Reid and Coach Holgren.
I'm a proud alum. Days in those days. I mean, I loved every minute of it, and I had a great foundation that was being developed there in coaching with Vic Rowen. And nobody was a better teacher of coaches than Coach Rowen was, and gave me as a young coach an opportunity to, again, build this foundation that has got me really to this point, whether it was work ethic or schematically.
Coach Rowen I had known forever. Heck, ever since I was a high school player. He used to come over to Lincoln High School all the time. And so I found out he had an opening. There was a coaching opening. Okay. And I went up and talked to him about it and interviewed with him. And so I said, for a year, I want to try this. I want to see how I like this. And that's how it all started. For those of you who knew Coach Rowen, and he worked guys hard, and he expected hard work from you and crazy hours. Certainly not what I was used to. And so But at the same time, I had so much respect for him and saw this as a chance for me to really learn more football, one, and then two, if I liked the college atmosphere, if I was going to like this, because I like high school coaching a lot. And so, but he was tough, and he expected a lot from his assistant coaches, and that was a good thing for me to learn.
Okay, now I'd like to hear from another Super Bowl coach, a Gator Hall of Famer, another teammate of mine from 1965, Gil Haskell.
Gil is one of our board members, everybody know, and a Hall of Fame coach here in the city from Reardon and St. Ignatius High School. I hate to say that word, St. Ignatius High School, but Gil was the head coach there for a long time and then moved on. So Gil, go ahead. Next. I think he needs to go off mute, Don.
Yeah, we're not hearing you. Again, start over.
You hear me now?
Yeah, we got you, Gil.
Okay. All right. I spent some time with Stephanie Shreve-Hawkins this week talking about what she'd like to have some of you people know that you don't know her, okay? And the first thing I want to start with is how I met her. About 6 years ago, I moved back here to San Rafael. And when I was young in the freshman in high school until 10 years, I worked with the 49ers at St. Mary's College over in Moraga for 6 weeks in the summer every year for those 10 years. So this one particular day, I said, you know what, I got to go to Walnut Creek. So I'm going to drive by Orinda and then go into Moraga and just check out the St. Mary's College. Well, by God, I come around the corner and I look and I see the chapel. I drive straight down, and behind the chapel is a huge hill, and there's still cows on it. You know, the brothers haven't sold the property to make any money. They still got it there. So then I drive over to the old gym, and correct me somebody if I'm wrong, but I think they called it Slip Madigan Gym, okay? And it was probably built in the early 40s, and it has not changed. The building has 20 coats of white paint on it, and it's just the same place. So I walk in, and on the right-hand side was the coach's dressing room, and that's where Frankie Albert was the head coach when I first got there. So I look in there, and I see this young lady sitting down, and I said, hello, and I'm expecting her to stop me. You know, I didn't have a pass to get in or anything, and she didn't say anything. So I go up, and I walk by, I go to the right, and that's where the training room was up there. So I walk up to the training room and I see it, and they're still using it for a training room. I come back down, I took a right, and it's sort of a walkway going up, and that's where the equipment was on the right. Chico and I were there. We had a Dutch door, and the guys would come up, and if they had to get something, they'd get us from there. If you kept going, you hit a classroom, then you went to the right, and you went to the swimming pool, which was indoor swimming pool. Now, in those days, nobody lifted weights. They did not have a weight in any of the summer camp, but Leo Domolini used to swim after every morning and afternoon practice. And my uncle was the doctor, and he says, one of the reasons this guy doesn't get hurt is he stretches and loosens up after every practice. And he, you know, Leo, if Leo was playing today, he'd be one of the great players. Now, I'd come back, I'm walking on my way out, I look in and I see the girl, and I said, you know, I used to work here in the late 60s and early 70s. I said, I work with the 49ers. Do you read them? She says, well, sorta. And I look at her nameplate, and it's Stephanie Shreve-Hawkins. I said, are you Dave Shreve's daughter? She says, yes, I am. I said, come here and give me a hug. Because David Shreve was the baseball coach at Reardon, and Angelo, who's with us right now, was a football coach at Reardon when I got my first job there, and they were my mentors. They taught me the ins and outs of Reardon High School, but her dad was the baseball coach and was a really good friend. And when I saw her, you know, out of the past, something out of the past. So that's how I first met her. And like I said, David and Angelo were my mentors for my first job. Now, Stephanie also asked me to give a little bit about her background. So I tried to break it down a little bit. And she wanted you to know that she's a Bay Area girl and that when she was born, you know where they lived? They went right back and lived in Park Merced. So she said, what a circle, huh? Lived there when I'm 1 or 2 years old. Then I'm back there now teaching. From there, Dave moved to El Cerrito High School as a teacher and the baseball coach. And then Stephanie went to Berkeley High School. She was an excellent student, a really good volleyball player. And in 2019, she was selected to the Berkeley High School Athletic Hall of Fame for volleyball. When she left high school, she got a full scholarship to Cal State Fullerton in volleyball. And that's another one because when I coached the Rams, we used to practice at Cal State Fullerton. And Augie Garrido, who at one time was the head coach at State, was the, the head coach at Fullerton forever and did a great job. Now, when she left there, she came back up to the Bay Area. She coached the volleyball team at Cal. And then she became the assistant coach at St. Mary's College and in student services. And she did that for 11 years. So she's got a lot of experience. Now, the next thing is 4 years ago, she was named the athletic director at San Francisco State. And she had 3 things that she really was excited about. Her first year, all 12 teams made the postseason play. Pretty good, huh? All the teams that were there made the postseason. The next thing she did was she brought back men's track. I believe they had women's track and they had men's cross country, but the men couldn't run in the track because they didn't have a team. They wouldn't let them run a mile or a 2 mile in a meet. So she brought that back, and now they have a legitimate track team, men and women. And the last one, for the first time in 5 years, Stephanie had a new class in the San Francisco State Athletic Hall of Fame. You know, the one in the gym. You get down to the far end of the gym, they have all the pictures on the side of the wall down there. And it had been 5 years since they had anybody introduced into one of those classes. The next thing is, she's a very active member and a great teammate in our Gridiron Hall of Fame. From her first day as athletic director until today, she's backed us in every way she can. She tries to be at every meeting that she can, and we've got her full support. And also, she and Don McPhail have been instrumental in Coach Rowen's scholarship program that's going on right now. She's big in this as well as Don. Now, listen to this one. Outside of state, you know, you're the athletic director, you got a family. She was voted by the San Francisco Business Times as one of the most influential women of the year, 2019. Also, she serves on the board. She serves on the board as vice president for the Albany Little League, okay? And the last thing I have to sum her up, I said 3 things. She's really adventurous. She wants new ideas. The next thing is she gets things done. You know, those three things we talked about. She gets things done. And lastly, I have her down here as a winner. She's right with all of us, okay? At the end, congratulations, Stephanie. We're glad to have you as our athletic director, and you've been really good to us. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Stephanie Shreve Hawkins, Athletic Director here at San Francisco State University. I'm once again honored. I'm Stephanie Shreve Hawkins, Athletic Director here at San Francisco State University. I'm once again honored to be a part of the Gridiron Club's endeavors, especially this one where I'm co-chairing with Don McPhail, the Vic Rowen Scholarship Fund. What an amazing way to honor such a legendary coach. I look forward to making sure that we preserve the history and legacy of Coach Rowen through this named scholarship. I appreciate being a part of this tribute to such a wonderful man who brought such transformative success to Gator athletics. There are many reasons why I'm so enthusiastic about Gator football. I attribute my ongoing passion and involvement with the Gridiron Club to my connection with one man. If there is anyone who can give you a motivational shot in the arm about the history of Gator football and Gator athletics in general, it is this next person.
It shows like
Along with the Gridiron Club, he has kept the alumni engaged by providing space to reminisce about the glory days and to share stories with old friends about life now as an SF State alum. He, of course, has helped provide the foundation work of this Vic Rowen Scholarship Fund, and he's also chaired the Gridiron Hall of Fame, the Gator Athletic Hall of Fame, is a huge reason why there's a statue of Rowen and Verducci in our plaza, and here it is. He's an esteemed author and just an overall wonderful human. He may not know how often he has kept me going in my first 3 years here with his thoughtful approach to supporting me and boosting the ego of this woman at times when it's most needed. I could go on, but without further ado, as they say, I'd like to introduce Hall of Famer Don McPhail.
Don, we need you to unmute, please.
Thank you. I didn't realize I'd gotten muted. People want to do that most of my business career. Again, I wasn't sure who the hell she was talking about when she was introducing till the very end. I didn't realize she was talking about me. It's been a great thing to get to work with the athletic department and get to know them in ways that you can't as a student or a player because you're too busy doing stuff. So thanks, Stephanie. I'm honored to be co-chairing with Stephanie and to help create the lasting tribute to our old coach. An important part of Coach Rowen's legacy at State is the close relationship between the football program and the athletic department, even without a football team there. I was fortunate to get to know Vic during the last 15 years of his life. He always supported every team at State, and this scholarship is a perfect legacy to Vic's own belief in a healthy athletic competition for men and women. With our financial support, the Vic Rowen Scholarship will keep his name alive at this university where he gave so much. Our football legacy is still alive here, and all these years later, through the Gator Gridiron Club, and thanks in no small part to the cooperation and encouragement from Stephanie and her staff. So this fundraising drive is for more than just asking for money. It's a major opportunity for all of us to pay tribute to a great man and for Vic Rowen's name to be a permanent part of this university scholarship program. So this is a big deal. It's not just a small fundraising campaign. This is a major university partnering with a defunct football program to create a lasting scholarship where Vic's legend and really our football legend will continue. I'll take just a moment to thank our honorary chairs for the scholarship drive. There's 6 Super Bowl winners who are honorary chairs, and they all made Vic proud. And they're openly proud of their own affiliation with Vic Rowen and with State. Billy Baird, John Ramsdell, Mike Holmgren, Gil Haskell, Andy Reid, Tom Melvin. And on today's event, I see that Super Bowl winners Mike, John, Tom, and Gil have joined us for the Zoom. And thanks, guys, for that. I
might have to.
I want to give greetings to Elise Rowe, Vic's wonderful daughter, and she was quite an athlete herself. I also thank the honorary committee members, Denise Hall and all our honorary committee members, Pat Sullivan, all the great people who've allowed us to use their names as evidence of the respect that Dr. Vic Rowen still has in athletics, education, and within the larger community. Vic was really a multifaceted man, although his passion was football, and he's loved and respected by so many of us. Finally, I send our love and respects to old teammate Angelo Crudo, who many of us got to talk to before this program started. And he's with us today with his sister, and he's working through serious health issues. We're thinking about you, Angelo, and we love you. Now, I'm pleased to introduce my friend and my colleague in the Gridiron Club, David Fearberg. David's preferred sport isn't football, they're surfing and cycling. But he's a valued honorary football guy who demonstrates the kind of hard work, teamwork, and commitment that would have impressed even Vic Rowen. He's also one of the driving forces behind our Vic Rowen Scholarship Program. David's Director of Development for the Graduate College of Education and for Gator Athletics. He's a true professional in the complicated field of nonprofits and fundraising. So David Fearberg, glad to introduce you and glad you're a teammate.
Don, thank you very much. I really appreciate the kind introduction. I kind of feel like I'm the guy when public television does their fund drives. I'm the guy that interrupts the nice programming to say, and now a word from our sponsor, and we are inviting you to support this great programming by supporting this network. Well, that's my role here today. I can say without reservation that working with the Gridiron Club is one of the greatest pleasures of my work with Gator Athletics. I say that because it gives me the opportunity to work with great people like Jim and Joe, Don and Gil, and all the members of the board of directors for the Gridiron Club. Their commitment to celebrating and preserving the legacy of Gator football is admirable. And the promotion of the Vic Rowen Scholarship shows that they're not only looking back, but also looking forward to how they can support the future for SF State student athletes. Vic Rowen's legacy and his life brings enormous honor to San Francisco State. His seminal role has been mentioned in Gator Athletics. His years as an educator and mentor to hundreds, if not thousands of students, as well as San Francisco State faculty and staff, cannot be overstated. It's an honor for me to help solidify his legacy here at San Francisco State, and the whole university is the better for this effort. Now, when I talk with members of the Gridiron Committee, they talk about tuition levels at San Francisco State when they attended as being in the hundreds of dollars for a year. Now, of course, that's changed. Tuition and housing, educational expenses can sometimes represent a barrier that's simply too high for gifted student athletes to pursue their dreams of athletic and academic achievement. The Vic Rowen Scholarship is a way to help promising student athletes lessen the financial burden on themselves and their families, and for them to graduate so that they can make a difference in their lives and the lives of their families and in their communities. The Rowen Scholarship, as has been mentioned by Joe, was launched more than 20 years ago. And this is the year that the club has decided to undertake the goal of building the scholarship fund up to $150,000. The fund will be permanent, and the scholarships each year will be paid through the interest that the fund generates. With a fund of $150,000, we can expect that $6,000 will be awarded each year to male and female student athletes using criteria that has been developed by the Gridiron Club themselves. Each year when we award the scholarship, Coach Rowen's ideals of hard work, good sportsmanship will be celebrated. The award will be a lasting component of Gator Athletics scholarship support for our student athletes. Now, I have the great privilege of inviting each of you today to support the Vic Rowen Scholarship. As of today, we're very happy to report that thanks to many of you on this Zoom, we have raised $64,000 of our $150,000 goal. For sure, we're well on our way. Now I'm putting a link in the chat, which everybody will see that just came up. This is a link to the page where you can check out how you can support the scholarship online. You can also donate by check, and on the page where that link is, there's the address where you can go, where you can send checks either to my attention, or if you just put towards the Vic Rowen Scholarship, we'll make sure we can receive it.
I'd also like to invite you to consider other ways to give. We can accept pledges of support for up to 5 years. If you want to give a certain amount of money and break it up over up to 5 years, we certainly can do that. We can accept contributions from IRAs, they're called IRA rollovers, which have great tax benefits. And certainly the Rowen Scholarship can be named as a beneficiary of a portion of your trust or estate. In fact, our largest donation to date is from the promise of an estate gift. Bottom line, every level of support is very much appreciated. It's a difficult time for a lot of us. And so asking for support is done with great humility. And we really appreciate what anything that folks can do within their means to support this lasting legacy for Coach. I can promise you that that your level of donation will be very much appreciated and will be very well used to support future student athletes as they pursue their athletic and academic careers. Really appreciate you all for joining us today. I just want to thank everybody who's been responsible for helping to put this together. Our co-chairs, I want to give a special shout out to my colleagues, Ken Maishiro and Brandon Davis, for their behind the scenes work that's been so critical in making this happen. And I want to thank everybody who's made a donation already, and simply to say, go Gators. And now we have some video tributes to Coach that I'm happy to share with you all. Thank you all very much.
I meet Vic, and Vic becomes like a mentor, a parent almost to me. That's the type of person he was. He took me in. When I told him I'd be interested in traveling with the team, which they had not done, he became very happy with that. And not only that, he had a wonderful knowledge of injuries in sports. He was a real professor, and he was a professor in physical education, I think, at State. And he knew a lot about physiology. He was really, he not only knew the sport, he knew the injuries that occurred. He knew what to do. I mean, he could tape, and who was the wrestling coach?
Alan Abraham.
Alan Abraham was the first one, his assistant coach that I met. And of course, Alan was really their trainer also. He was their trainer. So he set me up with people who taught me how to do it. I mean, I didn't know how to tape an ankle, but these guys, the coaches, all knew how to tape ankles. And I think a lot of it was because of Vic. Vic knew all the details about his sport and a lot of other sports too. He knew, and that's what made him a terrific guy to me.
Vic Rowen was an extraordinary human being. I met him in the early 1960s, before I was a member of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, and remember with great pleasure the many football games I attended with my two sons, who were then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years of age. And he exemplified a honorable profession, coaching football. His years at San Francisco State were distinguished, and it is logical to establish and to nurture the Vic Rowen Foundation for scholarships for high achieving and promising students to fulfill not only their hopes and expectations in life, but also their characteristics and integrity.
So I think, David, we're back to you. And I think we're going to have an open forum.
That's right. Jim, Joe, do you guys want to kick us off? We wanted to just open the floor up now. I'm very interested in hearing folks to share. I think we're asking folks to keep it to sort of 2 minutes. Joe and Jim have their shepherd's crook that they'll be pulling people off if they go more than 2 minutes. And then we'll have a video montage to play as well at the end.
I would like to start. Can you hear me? Yeah, I would like to start this off with Norm Eliason, Ed Larios, Dennis Dow, Mark Hollis, and Walt Filkowski. If you'll take your turn and give us 2 minutes of your experiences with Vic Rowen and SF State. So, Norm Elias.
Eli, you're going to unmute. There you go. You sound like Donald Duck. Why don't we go to Filkowski, and while you get your voice back in shape.
Oh, his voice hasn't changed at all. Okay, that's Filkowski, I believe, in 63 and 64.
Can't hear Walt.
Walter, you got to speak up. Maybe you need to have a volume increase.
Uh-oh.
Try it again.
You can you hear me now? No?
Not well.
I told somebody else. I'll see what I can do.
Okay, Ed Larios, why don't you speak up?
Yeah. Who's up?
Ed Larios.
Ed Larios, Coach Ed Larios.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
You sound better than Eli.
I thought he was playing the ukulele. But, yeah, you know, all of us that are on this Zoom call, you know, have good thoughts about playing for Coach Rowen and the things that we really didn't appreciate at the time. I mean, you know, he was what we would call a necessary evil of playing football. If you wanted to play, you had to do the things that he wanted you to do. But the things that I really remember are the things that came after football. The things that he taught me on how to be a coach and how to be a mentor and how to be a teacher and how to respect the game of football and to do the things that make the sport so remarkable. And one of the things that I try to do as I still coach today is to be a good representative of what Coach Rowen stood for: organization, dedication, and commitment. And I think those are the things that allowed us to succeed as a football team, but even more as people who made a difference in other people's lives. And so being a football coach was really one of the goals that I had, and it was because of my contact with Coach Rowen that I was able to go and pursue a career that I still enjoy every day and still learn every day. I know that Coach Rowen, as knowledgeable as he was always going to clinics so that he could get more knowledge. And he never stopped learning football. So I just know that I hope that I can give to the players I have the things that he gave to me.
Those are great memories, Ed, and thanks to everybody we're not leaving. I was just going to say thanks to everybody for your patience as we work through sound and unexpected benefits of Zoom meetings. Because Zoom meetings are dependent on a lot of technology, and we may have enjoyed football, but we sure as hell aren't great technologically. Mark Hollis, maybe you have something you could add. And then if Eli thinks his system is working, maybe you could follow Mark. And Mark, are you there? How about Dennis Dow? Dennis, are you there? And if you are, can you unmute?
Okay.
There's Dennis.
It was kind of unexpected for me to, I didn't really think I would be a college level football player until Vic Rowen showed up at a post season dinner that we had at my high school, which is Downey High School in Modesto, California. And basically he was saying that, you know, if you want to give it a shot, we want to give you an opportunity, and it really ended up being a tremendous opportunity because immediately, as soon as I got involved in practices and so forth, I was kind of amazed at kind of the advanced level of football that he was coaching, and it was just a tremendous experience, and I was just really grateful for the kinds of skills that I learned that I was able to apply later on in developing a lot of teams in the behavioral health field, and you know, managing folks and kind of falling back on skills that I didn't even realize I had picked up at the time. But it was a really it's a really elevating experience, and I not only am thankful to Vic Rowen, but to all of my teammates, all you guys that performed at such a high level. It was great.
Dennis, your memories remind me, I got to state about 3 months after I'd left the Naval Academy, and that year the Naval Academy ended up #2 in the nation, so they didn't miss me very much. And it was pretty evident. And I remember getting to state and seeing how the line calls with the guards, the offensive lines, guards and tackles and centers, those were so advanced, Navy wasn't using those. No college I knew of was using line calls with their offensive linemen, and San Francisco State was, and that's because Vic Rowen was such an innovator and such a scientist. Anyway,
Exactly.
that's what reminded me.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was thinking about.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. Eli, do you think you have your voice in shape? It's pretty good now because we can't hear you at all. I think we're in the past, Eli. Sorry. You better mute yourself again. How about
Eli
Phil
needs to
Kowski?
stop. Eli needs to stop hitting that helium.
Phil Kowski.
Hello, can you hear me now?
A little better. Go ahead.
Okay, I played in 63, 64. I'm probably one of the older Gators at 82. I was from a little playing college down in the Angel Valley, 170 pound player with a history of 3 concussions. I never could figure out why he wanted me up at state. But I later figured out that he recruited by position. He had an idea for a player at a certain position, both offense and defense. And I couldn't figure out where I fit in, but I eventually did. After my being up there a couple of weeks, I took a boxing wrestling class from Dick. And after 2 weeks, he pulled me out and said, "You sit down and don't take boxing anymore. I know about your concussions." So he did look out for his players. Fast forward to 95, after I left, I was living in the football apartment with Angelo Pudo and Mike Burke down in the city where the streetcars come up, Market Street. And San Jose Apaches were practicing in the field about nearby us. Angelo thought he wanted to play with him. And I thought, well, why not? I played for 14 years. I kind of missed football. So I went and talked to them, and there were some Santa Clara players there. They said that you needed a recommendation from the college coach. So I went to Vic, and Vic had recommended Tim Tierney to play with the Eagles farm team on the East Coast. And Vic said, you are kind of small. You've had a bunch of concussions. You screwed up your knee playing for me. You got accepted in physical therapy school. Do you really want to do this for another year of glory in football? And he kind of talked me out of it. And I'm glad he did, because I became a physical therapist and eventually into hospital administration. So I think Vic was somebody who kind of looked out for his players both when they were playing and after they left.
He certainly did after we left. You'd sit down with him and a name would come up, and invariably Vic wouldn't have expected to hear the name. He immediately knew what they were doing that in their career, what they had done when they left state. And that was pretty incredible. Mark Hollis, you're back on. What are your thoughts? And you may want to be sure you're unmuted.
Can you see me for once?
We can see it. Looks pretty nice. I want to be there.
I was home, I have very fond memories of Coach Rowen, Coach Abraham. Just my memories at San Francisco State. Coming from across the bay in Oakland, my mom was a single parent. We had to kind of find our way in life, and we spent a lot of time, at kind of enamoring our coaches, and from Earl Manyweather at McClymonds to Jim Swan at Merritt College, and then embracing Coach Rowen and Abraham over there. They really kind of guided us in terms of becoming not only football players, but as men, and I carry that over with me when I move forward with my career, that you deal with certain things in a certain way. And, I remember many years ago, after I had left state, and I would always swing back in and visit Coach Rowen and Coach Abraham. They'd always remind me that even though I had left maybe 10 or 15 years ago, I had graduated, he and Abraham would always remind me that I needed to be in class. That was that was always a good reminder, even though I had been gone about 10 or 15 years, And so, so you focus on certain things as a man. And I know that, again, in reflecting back, I'm really grounded. And sometimes when there's situations that I need to focus in as an owner of a business, I reflect back and borrow some of those guiding thoughts as to how to handle certain situations. So I've got very fond memories of state. I'm a Gator all the way through. Love them. So
Mark, some of your work that you've done too continues on with athletics and with young people. And you think you must have picked a lot of that love of athletics and the ethic that it gave you, all that, and you've now applied it into what you're doing. How does that feel?
Well, many years ago, my wife and I formed a business called EMH Sports, and we were approached to to provide that missing component in education of physical education and in special education adapted PE. And, you know, so, you know, my affinity for being a physical education teacher came way back. You know, I mean, I remember taking the classes at San Francisco State. Everything was a theory of basketball or a theory of football, a theory of, you know, and so you began to embrace. I didn't do well in gymnastics because my legs were too long, but you know, you start to borrow those things, you know. So, you know, you learn, you know, how to construct a curriculum. You know, I never forget, I had a class with Jerry Winus, you know, about budgeting, you know, that was a little different. And, but I was always able to go in and sit down with Coach Rowen and kind of reflect back and get some ideas as to how I should approach certain situations. So, yeah. So again, physical education, yeah, I always knew I wanted to be there, you know, as soon as I sat down with him and figured out which direction I wanted to go.
Well, that's fabulous, because we think about stuff now because we can look backward, and we hadn't realized how much our experience at State influenced those next steps we took.
Right. You know, and in all honesty, I think Coach Rowen's, I can't call him Vic, you know, but Coach Rowen's tree is like broad. I mean, it's not only distant in the NFL, but there's so many of us that are out. You know, we can just, you know, give him all the credit, you know, he and Coach Abraham.
Well, and speaking of that, if Elise, I don't know if you can hear us or see us, because all I see is your name. I don't see the picture. Do you have some thoughts now that you've seen what we're going through and describing about your dad? Elise Rowen, can you hear me? Okay, I see the name up there, but I can't hear you. How about Larry Drummond? Larry, you played baseball, you've been involved around football at State a long time, and you always respond when we send out messages to the old Gators. What are your thoughts about those days at State? Yeah. Are you unmuted, Larry? Okay, he may not be. Any other thoughts from people who are out there, from John Shelton or Charlie Peters or Larry Dito? You guys got any thoughts you want to share? We have about 5 or 6 minutes left. You don't want to take it all?
Hi,
What's that?
Hi, I'm John Shelton. My experience with Coach Rowen was kind of unique because I was probably one of the shortest players that played at San Francisco State in 65, 66. But he took a chance, played at junior college in LA. And like I said, it wasn't very tall. It was linebacker. Actually, the first year was behind Dennis, and Ken Cook and I both were backups. And my first year was mostly on special teams. But I remember the workmanship and the team effort that both Coach Abrahams and Rowens shared with us together, showing how compatible two different people can work to one goal. You know, whenever we lost the game, Coach Abe would run our ass off, okay, at the next practice. But I remember in my senior year, he always, the last game, he always had kind of a procedure where he would say a little something about you and you'd run off the field. And it was very moving because he said, "John, if you were 6 inches taller, I would make you an All-American." So I have fond memories. I'm now in Southern California, but my heart is always in God's country. And I'm thankful for the experience that he gave me. And I know other people also feel that way. So I'll stop right now. Thank you, though.
Larry Dito, you got any thoughts?
Yeah, thanks, Don. You know, seeing everybody that that I played with, Eddie and Jim and other folks who aren't here today, brings back some great memories of our time and our youth. And I want to say that Don McPhail, when I first started at SF State, was like a god. I was a freshman, and Don was the quarterback, and he was so well respected, and still is today. We had a lot of great times, and Eddie, I know you and I shared one time on an Easter break that we will never tell anybody about, but it was a lot of fun down in Southern California, I'll say that. I want to thank everybody who's involved with this effort to keep the San Francisco State Gridiron program alive. Dave Fearberg, Joanne and I have just been so wonderful to meet you, and we're going to get together again soon for coffee somewhere in Moran. I'm looking forward to that. Gil, you're one of the great storytellers of all time, and can't wait for our monthly lunches of SF boys to get together again after the pandemic. So just hope everybody stays safe. Let's keep the memories alive. They are of our youth, but they also influenced everything we did in life. So God bless all of you. It's good to see you.
That's great. Well put, Larry. That's very nice. Denise, you have a different perspective because you got to see Vic not on the practice field, but around the office and every day in his downtime. You must have some interesting stories. Are you interested? Can you go ahead?
Not so much stories, I guess, but just general experiences. Being very intimidated at first by him. I took his coaching football class and sat in the front row every day and tried to write down every word that came out of his mouth. When I myself and a classmate who later would coach and play, Fred Sandlin, was also in the class, and we went into the office one day hoping to be able to watch film, and he actually allowed us to do that in that, I don't know if you guys remember the office up on the second floor, but that little closet that he had over there that was crammed with God only knows what, because the light was not very bright. But there was always a 16 or 8 millimeter projector set up in there and a couple of chairs. And I don't think there was a screen. I think we just projected it on the wall, on the back wall. And we were allowed to sit in there and watch film, and he would answer any questions that we would have.
Oops, seems like we got a frozen screen. I'm sorry about that, Denise.
Oh,
there you go.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think because I came along at the end of his San Francisco State career, he might have mellowed a little bit from what most of you remember, but he was still a strong, tough man, but he was always fair and always straightforward. And I know everyone appreciated that. I know I did.
And that is a perspective that's unusual. We appreciate hearing about that.
No problem.
Pat Sullivan, do you have any thoughts? You had a whole different perspective too. You're on mute, I think. If you want to unmute on the lower left.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can now.
Well, I'm just once again honored to be here, and the stories are great. And I only have one from SF State in the 60s. We could sit here all day and talk about SF State in the 60s, but so in the spring of '65, I actually looked up my transcript. I took my first class in journalism, and I also took weight training, an 8 a.m. class taught by Vic Rowen. And I got an A in the journalism class and a C in weight training. But Vic treated me as a person, and even though I wasn't on a football team or any other team, and I always appreciate that. And later in my sports writing career, I had the opportunity to interview him at SF State after the demise of, or after the crazy 60s. And he explained a lot of stuff to me about how, some parents didn't want to be sending their kids to SF State anymore because of the turmoil in the city. So I have only but fond memories of Vic Rowen and the way he treated me. And, he was a mentor for me. He was a father figure for me. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak.
Well, we're glad you're with us, Pat. And I miss your sports columns. They were fabulous.
Thank you, Doctor.
If we could ask Mark Panero to say a couple of things. He had a unique experience because he was a one-year player. He played a lot of football, played at State for a year, and then I think it was an injury that shortened that. And then after Mark, maybe Tom Melvin could wrap up our conversation, and we'll go back to Jim and Joe, who can help us to end the program. But Mark, what are your thoughts about State? Because you had a great year. Sorry, you're muted. We can't hear you. Go to lower left.
Wait, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I have to admit, it was a unique experience going from the Valley, coming up to San Francisco, and it was like a last minute decision to come up there in the spring of 71. And Vic Rowen taught a class in the afternoon, and it was a running class. And I wasn't very fast at all when I played high school and junior college ball at Wrigley, JC. But he actually taught me how to run, and I knocked off at least. Remember, I ran a 40 at Reedley at probably around 5.5 or 5.6, and then when I got to State, I knocked it down. And I remember coming back for summer practice. I mean, you had to pass certain things. You had to pass before you get your uniform. You had to lift so much, bench press so much, which was never a problem because I started lifting weights and when I was a sophomore in high school. But I dropped like a 5.5 down to a 4.9. Just the knowledge that Vic passed on to me, how to properly run and use your hips and he always emphasized hips too for striking a blow. But yeah, it was the last game of the season was against Sacramento State, who still plays football, which amazes me. But I had injured my neck really bad. I ended up in the hospital and stuff, and that was kind of the end of the career. But it was an interesting experience up there, and had to fight my way on to the starting offensive line. And Vic let me challenge the player that was playing in front of me because I guess the team voted on who won, and then he started me in the when we played University of San Francisco Dons, second game of the season. And I have to admit that was the best game I ever had. And the next week in practice, my roommate was junior square, and they were giving accolades, and Vic Rowen gave me a star. And I don't remember him ever giving a star to anybody and put on your helmet, because and I started all the way through until I get Hayward State. I didn't play in that game because I had some disciplinary reasons, but it was interesting. I tell you, one thing, and then I'll quit. Our pregame meal, I remember at Reedley, and even at Kingsburg High School, I mean, the booster clubs and everything would have nice steaks, and we'd get there mid-morning because we would play all our night games. We were all night games down there in the Valley because it was so freaking hot. But I remember showing up for a pregame meal at San Francisco State, and they gave us pancakes, and I just could not understand why. But he had some theory that you needed more carbohydrates than you did protein to play the game. But
Well, I think his theories were driven by budget.
yeah, could be. Could be.
That's a good memory, and it is a unique career, and we're glad you came up from the Valley. Tom Melvin, if you're still with us, do you have some thoughts? And then we'll go to Jim and Joe to wrap up.
Sure. It's, my entire career kind of, went around with Coach Rowen's reputation of producing coaches, because that was one of the big reasons I went up to state. I played junior college football at Foothill Junior College for Jim Fairchild. And he said, if I wanted to get into coaching, which was, I love playing the game, but I wanted to get into coaching and teaching. And he said, if you wanted to go somewhere for that, Vic Rowen was the place to go, just because he was so interested in the game of football, and nothing was stale with him. He was always going to spring ball around the country, go see Bo Schembechler. He'd end up going to Johnny Majors out in Tennessee. And he was on the cutting edge of the development of techniques in football. And it was always something for him to continue to learn. And he pushed that through you in whatever walk of life you were in. And that just stuck with me, that it was something that you're always going to keep learning. You always keep improving yourself, no matter what level you're at. And, he was always challenging you in that direction. So every day that you were in the office, he had something new for you. And if you had an idea of a drill, he made you, defend why you were doing it. And though it was demanding, it was something I just relished my entire life, and it's helped me both in my coaching career and also in my life. So I really have a lot to owe to Coach Rowen and how he looked after you as a player, and more so off the field and after you got done playing for you. You were always one of his guys.
I think that's an apt way for us to wrap up, because you exemplify what a great teammate is like, a guy who worked hard through small colleges and then bigger colleges and now to the peak of pro football. So I think that's a really nice way to end it. And Tom, we have so much respect for what you and Coach Reed and Gil and Mike Holmgren and all the John Ramsdell, all the Super Bowl coaches have done, in addition to all the great high school coaches, great college coaches, Toledo and Ferreño. I mean, our legacy, who would have thought our legacy was going to be from high integrity, high success football coaches at all levels. So influencing young people and being successful, pretty darn good. Jim and Joe, why don't you take it back and wrap us up? And then if anybody wants to, we'll send out a link to this on YouTube. If you want to see it again, you may want to edit out all the technical glitches, but I think you may enjoy it when you have a chance to sit and sift through it again. So thanks to everybody, and turn it back to Jim and to Joe.
Well, hello. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. Well, I want to thank everyone for participating today. And as you know, Coach Rowen means a lot to all of us, as well as SF State. And his scholarship program is the scholarship program will help future athletes to come to state, compete, grow as athletes, teachers, and leaders, and be inspirations to others. So it's a fantastic, worthwhile program. We hope you'll participate in it. Joe, would you like to close it out?
I want to thank everyone who participated today and was able to come on Zoom, and we enjoyed the stories. I know it took on us a Saturday morning, but we appreciate, we hope you'll find a way we can donate and keep the Coach Vic Rowen scholarship moving forward. And special thanks to Byron and David from the athletic department, and Ken from alumni relations. We appreciate the time they took to set this up. I know it's difficult for us older guys to figure out all these the Zoom, and I got to Norm, I appreciate your Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck imitation on his video. So we do the best we can on this, and just want to keep moving forward. Don has said, and so is Jim, about the scholarship fund. So once again, thanks everybody for participating, and we appreciate the time, and thank you.
No. Watch this. Let's see. It's just about.
Those are the statues of
Okay, that's enough.
Thank you for putting up with my. No. You guys are good. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Philco. Thanks, Eli.
And Momo.
Great to see all of you.
Thanks, Skip, Crudo, Judy, Dennis. Great to see you all.
Thank you, Don.
You're welcome.